Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks for joining, everyone. Like I said, this training is going to be on a little bit more advanced Zoom topics, such as adjusting your profile settings on Zoom, managing your recorded videos, trainings, along with managing some of your meetings there. You know, we may even go through the process of creating a meeting. I think we've done that before, but might be worth revisiting. All right, so raise your hand if you have a Zoom profile. Does anybody know if they have a Zoom profile?
In other words, an account that we've set up?
Yeah, an account that you've set up through the Zoom website.
I think so, but I've never used it. I think I do, but I'm...
Okay. Yeah, and so I'm just going to go over that real quick. And a lot of times people say they can't go into a meeting, or they have issues hitting a link for a meeting. And some of the reasons why are because we haven't created a Zoom profile. Sometimes for some reason they don't, they have a tough, some people have a tough time going on without creating a Zoom profile. It's not required. You can just go on Zoom through the website on your desktop. But having a profile is mitigates a lot of issues in the long run. So I'll share my screen now and show you what I mean by a profile, and kind of how you can create one and change your settings and stuff like that. So what we want to do is simply, open up a web browser. I got Google Chrome on, and type in zoom.us and then click enter. And that's going to take me right to the Zoom home website. And as you can see, there's a lot of options here. Like I said, you can join a Zoom meeting straight from the website. There's a button right here that says join, and you can see if I click on it, it asks me to enter my meeting ID. And then once I do that and I click join, if there's a password, it'll ask me to enter that. So you could join from here without creating an account. However, creating an account has its benefits, and we'll explore those benefits. And so in order to create an account, I'm going to go to sign in, this button on the top right. And there's Amanda's, this is kind of like ICS account. It's set there. So it's going to ask you to enter in your email and your password. It's because I clicked on sign in, so it's going to assume that I already have an account. Or it says sign in with your Google, Facebook, Apple, or SSO. I'm not sure what SSO is, but most people, a lot of people have a Google account, so I would recommend this to be the easiest way. If you don't have a profile and want to start a Zoom profile, probably just clicking on sign in with Google allows Zoom to use your Google account once you give it permission to create a Zoom account. So they kind of, link together in some way. And so, however, if you don't have a Google account or want to use your Google email or your Facebook or anything like that, you don't have any of these things or don't want to use them, you can click on the top right next to sign in. There's a orange big button here said sign up, it's free. And then it'll take you through verification process, date of birth. It'll ask you some questions. It'll ask you to create a password and all that. So I'm not going to do that. I think we've done that before, but just wanted to show you guys that. I'm actually going to sign in through my Google account. right here. I'm going to click the Google, and then I'm going to use my work account, alex@connectix.org. Then you can see it's my account's already linked there, and it takes me to my Zoom account. So when you first go into your Zoom account profile, you'll notice that there's a bar with a bunch of options here, and each option that you click on gives you more options, right? So by default, it's under meetings. You can see there's upcoming, previous, personal, room, and so forth. I'm going to click the profile button, and this is the first sort of option under this bar. And this is kind of like the basic option, kind of like most websites that you visit, well, that you have to create an account for, have like a profile, right, account, whether it's like Spotify or YouTube or Facebook, right? It usually has a profile, and that's a place where you can put your picture. So if I wanted to, I can click on this button and add a picture in here. I can edit my name if I wanted to. I could add my phone number, language, time zone. So I just want to sort of go over some of the popular sort of account settings and show you that we can edit things. And so another popular one is the personal meeting ID. So when you create an account, you'll notice that your account also has like a personal ID number, right? And so that's something that you can instantly, like if you just sign into Zoom, you can, and if you start a meeting right away, that's linked to your personal meeting ID. And you can give that number to other people so they can join you. You can send them a link with that. That's sort of your account's default ID number. And you can see this one's mine right here. And I think you can even change it if you wanted to, right? Some people do because.
Is that ID consistent, or does it change with every invite? That's your personal ID?
Yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, the personal meeting ID never changes unless you change it. So I can change it to like, a number that like I wanted to, right? My social security number. I wouldn't advise that, but you can change it to whatever you want, maybe something more memorable if you wanted to. But once it's set, it's sort of set.
Okay.
I mean, you could change it again, but once you give it out and stuff like that. Whereas opposed to what Janet might be referring to is if you, let's say, create a meeting, right? If there's an option up here where you can schedule a meeting, right? Schedule a meeting, and then you can type in the topic name, the date, all that. And then what happens is it generates a meeting ID automatically, right? And this is different from your personal meeting ID. When you create a meeting, there's usually a generated meeting ID with a generated password, unless, and we're getting a little ahead, but this is good, unless you go to your account profile, which we're in right now, and you go to schedule, right, which is under meetings, and then you see you scroll down a bit, after let's say you create all the topic, the date, the time, how long it's going to be, all this information, you can change your setting from generate the meeting ID automatically to using your personal meeting ID. And if I click on this, then it's going to always use my personal meeting ID. For whatever meeting I create, it's going to use my personal meeting ID. So it's really up to you. Some people like this because it makes it a lot more simple. They have only one ID they ever have to give out or memorize. Other people maybe only want to give their personal meeting ID to close friends, family, or, you know, yeah, it's sort of anybody they choose to. And then as you can see, if I scroll down more, another sort of option is whether to add a passcode. It's under the security tab here. I usually don't add a passcode because I find it easier for people to join if all they need to do is enter their meeting ID. The meeting ID is that's the bare minimum that's required. For folks that are joining in through the desktop or phone, you have to enter in a meeting ID. However, obviously, if you have a link to it, usually there's no meeting ID required. It just sort of links to you. But adding an extra layer of passcode is an extra layer of security. Some folks do this, let's say if it's like an open meeting, you know, and well, let's say we only want you know, a limited amount of people, right? We don't want it to be an open meeting. That would just give it more security, right? And then you have the option to have a waiting room. And sort of a couple other security options. I'm not going to go through all of them, just the more important ones. And here is the video option. So when you're so like when you schedule the meeting, you're the host, right? And if you've noticed, when you join a meeting, most of the time the default is that your camera is off, maybe your mic is off, right? So this setting right here will change that to the host. The video for the host is off, right? Now, if I wanted to change it on, every time I entered a meeting, I would click the on button. Now, and so you can see the participants' default setting on their video is off. If I wanted to change it on, I could. And same thing with audio. Any questions on those? So this again was, you know, we shied away from the profile and went to meetings. And then this would be under schedule a meeting, right? If we wanted to schedule a meeting. Okay, let's go back to profile to see if we missed anything. Anybody had any questions on their profile, the personal meeting ID? That makes sense?
No.
Okay. Okay, sign in. Yeah, and this is like your email, your password information, and all that. Okay, that's it for the profile. And I'm gonna keep going to meetings like we did. So like I said, you can schedule a meeting with somebody by clicking on this schedule meeting button and creating a meeting. And then once you create one, I'm going to do it just to show you guys what the next process would be to sending this meeting invite or link to somebody. So let's say I'm scheduling a meeting for 6:30 at 10 a.m. It's going to be about an hour. I'm going to call it, you know, maybe another Zoom meeting, right? It's not a recurring meeting. It just happens just today at 10. Registration. Usually you don't have to click on that. Okay. All this other stuff looks good to me. And then I'm just going to click on save. Okay. So you can see once I clicked on save, it went to another. It was kind of the same thing, but it's not fillable anymore. And it shows me the meeting ID. So this is the meeting ID it generated, right? This isn't my personal ID. It shows me the invite link, right? So here's where I can copy the invitation, right? And if I click on this, it says copy invitation, and it shows me the meeting invitation. So this is what's going to copy once I click on copy meeting invitation, right? So I can copy the meeting invitation, and you can see it says copy to clipboard. So it's the same thing as right clicking and then pressing copy, or control V, I think it is, or Z, one of those, same thing. So copy meeting invitation. And here's where I would then email this out to somebody, right? So I would, you can't really send an invite from your account right now. You then have to go into your email, right? And let's say, just compose a regular email. Let's say I wanted to invite Janet to this meeting. Let's say Zoom meeting invitation. And then I would say, I'm not going to write a full email, but then here's where I would just paste, that whole meeting invitation that I copied on Zoom, and then send it over to Janet or Shelly or whoever, right? Does that make sense? Any
Yep.
questions?
Yep.
Okay. So, and then this shows you all the, all the details that you created when you made that invitation, and you can obviously edit it, you can delete it, save it as a template if you want to use it for other things. All right, and then you can also start that meeting from this website, though. It'll probably be easier starting it from the little Zoom profile, which we'll get into. Okay, raise your hand if you've ever hosted or started a meeting before.
I tried once and it didn't work. So that's why I'm gun shy, but this all makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, it's yeah, I would say hosting or starting a meeting is one of the more difficult things to do versus like joining one, right? Joining one's pretty easy if you have the link, or the meeting ID and password, but starting one is, you have to send out those things and make sure to organize it a little bit more. Anybody have questions on starting a Zoom meeting or any troubles they've had in the past with it? Okay.
I got the same for her. Try one. No, it's too difficult.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Does this make, Shelly, does this make sense now? Do you feel like you could start one now that, or do you have any questions on what we just did for starting a meeting?
But I gotta go over and over. I'm a slowly.
Yeah.
Aprendo despacio porque pues no tengo tanto tiempo para meterme y andar.
Yeah.
Me da un poco de nervios que vaya a desborotar todo.
Yeah.
Pues, sí entiendo un poco, pero.
So Shelly's mentioning, something important that's like, there's a lot of, websites and processes can be very overwhelming, especially if you're just starting. I totally understand and agree. And she's saying it makes sense now, but it's from repetition that we really learn, right? That's with anything. So I'm just going to go through that one more time. And this is recorded. So again, you guys can watch it again. So once you sign into your Zoom profile, right, it actually directly goes to meetings. And if you wanted to create a meeting and send a
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you put those recording meeting, where I should go to look at it again?
It's in the ICS website. Here, I'll show you. So if you go to, I'm sorry, it's in the hub. Do you have access to the hub?
No, I don't think.
Okay, so I can send you the link, Shelly. I'll send it to you in the chat right now. But if you go to, have you ever been to this website? It's called the Hub. It's the ICS Hub, where a lot of trainings are and
Mm-mm. Mm, no.
forms like documents and stuff like that you need to print out. It's here. So if you go to this website, you see it's integrated community services and it says about us. You can read it a little bit and see the options, but here's the training for all staff. And then under digital literacy training, so digital literacy training resource right here, you click on it. And then it says digital literacy training resource. Welcome to the ICS digital literacy training page. Here you'll find trainings about, and then you can see all the trainings. The one we're going over right now is Zoom, right? So then you click on it, and then it's that this was the old one, getting started on Zoom. And then it shows you
Step by step how you can do that.
the agenda, and then it has the video right here. So
Okay.
yeah, I can send you the link to, I'll just send you this link specifically. So you can
Excuse me,
yeah,
Alex.
yeah.
Oh, it's Elizabeth. So I'm going to have to sign off, but I'm glad that you, I have access to the hub, and I will look all that over on the July 4th holiday and see if I can learn some more basics on my own. Okay, and then I'll try to get with you maybe again for another meeting after the holiday, if you'll be available.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Just send me an email or give me a call. And yeah, like I said, here,
Okay.
if you have the link to the hub and you want to learn the basics, get started on Zoom is a good one. Also, like, you know, there's links there to other videos or training resources. So
Yes, I have access to the hub, but I just forgot that there was information for Zoom. Okay, so thank you very much for having me, and have a good holiday, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so real quick, we'll go over how to schedule a meeting again. So you're in your profile once you sign in. Then the default is the meetings tab right here, and then we read a little bit and see schedule a meeting. That's what I want to do. I want to schedule a meeting with a client, so I'm going to click on that, and then just the best way I can say for somebody who's just getting started is, like Shelly said, to go slow, right? Take your time and almost like read it a little bit like a book, where you're starting from top to bottom, left to right, right? So if I'm looking at this, I'm going to start from the top. It says back to meetings. I don't want to do that. Schedule a meeting. Okay, that's what I want to do. Okay, the topic. I can create a topic, right? Let's say it's the meetings about technology or something, right? Or apartment search or John, right? Maybe that's what I'll call my meeting. And then just keep going down very slowly. Do you need to add a description? Maybe not. And then it says when. Okay, I know when. So it's kind of just like taking your time and going slowly to see if you need to apply any of the things that, right? And you don't always have to read everything. You can just read the title, right? If you by just reading the titles, you'll know if you want to continue reading the section or if you need to move on to something else, right? So if I accidentally clicked on webinars and I see, oh, what is this? Webinars. What is a webinar? I don't really need to know that. How is a webinar? Okay, this isn't for me. I'm going to click on the next thing. So you don't always have to read everything, but it might be important to take your time and read it like a book from left to right and using the the topics and the topics to sort of navigate your way around the website. Okay, so and then, you know, stuff like this, personal contacts and webinars, probably don't really need to use that. Whiteboards, probably not. It's a little bit even more advanced. I think it's a new feature too. It's kind of like having a board you could just write anything on. One thing I do use a lot is recordings, obviously, because I'm a digital literacy training and I do most of my training on Zoom. I record a lot of the meetings, and when I record them, and if you ever record something, let's say you're working with a client, you're showing them how to maybe go on Zoom, or you're showing them how to use their email, right? And they probably, you might want to record it for them, right? Because they are maybe slow at learning and need to watch the video over and over. So maybe it's helpful for you to record. So if you ever record something, you can find your recordings. Can you guys hear me?
Sí.
Okay. You can find your recordings under the recordings tab, and you can see that they're sort of they go from the most recent to the least. So last recording was June 30th, or I'm sorry, this is this recording. You see it says process recording, right? My last one was May 26th, right? So this is where you'll find it. And if you click on the recording that you want, it will take you to the video, right? It'll take you to the video. So this training, I forgot what it was on. I think it was on, I don't know if it was on short or work phone, maybe, or something like that. How to use your phone for work. And so once I clicked on it, you can see it gives me an option to click on the video. I can download the video. I can copy a shareable link. I can delete the video. And I can download and share and delete these options as well. Okay, so I'm going to click on one so this is one of my recorded trainings, and you can see that. Great, thanks everyone for joining. So it shows me, and you can kind of edit it a little bit, not too much. You can speed it up and stuff like that. It gives you some options here. So this is just for if you ever record something, you go to recordings, and then you find your recorded one, like I said, and you can either watch it again, you can edit it, you can download it, delete it, stuff like that. Any questions on recordings? Okay.
For do those, you need to have a computer, right? Or you can do it in your iPad.
Yeah, you can record something on your iPad. You just click on, you would click on the record button on your iPad. And then if you ever wanted to watch it again, you would go into your Zoom profile and then click on recordings, and then find it. It's important when you record something, let me stop this share in a second. So if you want to record something, right? I don't think you guys have the option, but that usually means that you're the host of the meeting, right? So just like you guys see where the share screen button is on the bottom of your Zoom screen. Does everybody see that? You see the bottom tab where it says share screen, It says chat, participants, right? There's going to be a button that says record, right? When when you become a host, right? Meaning when you create a meeting and invite others and you're the host, then you can record. So you would click on record, and there's going to be two options. It's going to say you can record to your computer, or I'm sorry, you can record to this device, you know, your computer, maybe your phone or your iPad. It's usually a computer, but or you can record to the cloud, meaning the Zoom cloud. I really recommend recording to the cloud, because that means it's going to record to your Zoom profile, your Zoom account, which is on the internet, which, you know, has a lot of space, right? Now, if you record on your device, it might be easier to access, but it takes up space. It might be harder to access, or you might not have the technology to open it.
Okay.
So I recommend recording to the cloud when you click on the record button. And then you can find it in the same way that we just went over in the recordings tab. Okay, so moving on is the settings option here. And from here, you can sort of, it's kind of, some of these overlap. You can see from settings, I can access my meetings, you know, I can access the whiteboard, right? So some of these overlap. You know, you might be able to access your security again, which I was able to do under meetings or profile, one of them. So yeah, I would say just go over, you know, start from top to bottom, you know, and see what you need. Email notifications, right? And then if I click on this, it says send a copy to the person who scheduled the meeting, webinar for the host, send a copy to alternative hosts. So these are just like other very specific options. So you can really go crazy changing your settings and stuff like that, you know. Here's the virtual background. You can turn it on or off. Let's see if there's anything else that I want to show you guys. Well, let's just go down the list. The waiting room. Here's the meeting passcode. You can see I have mine off. This says require passcode for participants joining by phone. That one's on. I'm going to turn it off because I don't really think it matters for me. So, and then here's, once I schedule a meeting, we talked about the host video. You can see this is a really long settings button. I'm trying to see if there's any that are, well, maybe I should ask you guys, are there any settings or things on Zoom that you guys want to change or do or wish there was maybe?
No, nothing comes to my mind.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, for me, honestly, the default settings are usually like the easiest for me to do. The one thing, the couple of things that I shared with you guys about, like, the one thing I changed was the passcode, right? I told you guys that instead of requiring a passcode, I turn it off so more people can join easier, right? So that's something. And then this one, it says screen sharing, allow hosts and participants to share their screen or content during meetings and webinars. And it says who can share. and it says host only. This is actually a good one because this is a good example because usually the default is that only the host can share. But for me, honestly, that's not really important. So I'm going to say all participants can share. And then it says who can start sharing when someone else is sharing. And it says host only. I'm going to say all participants because usually my meetings, other people share, and it doesn't really matter if I'm like, I don't mind having other people share. You know, now if you wanted a more controlled meeting, you didn't know the people, right? Or you didn't want the meeting to get crazy, then maybe having the host only have that control would be good. But for my purposes, I'm going to switch it to all participants and click on save. Okay. And you do things like meeting reactions, right? All emojis are allowed. And then here you can actually select emojis that are required. All right, I think that's about it for the settings. I think there's any, I'm just scrolling down to see if there's any no, that's about it. Okay. So moving on, it says account profile. I don't know how that's different from profile, but I think that's maybe links to the ICS. Oh, this is sort of like ICS has like, you know, has like a business account, right? That's how we're all able to get so sort of our email and our Zoom accounts are linked through the ICS account. So this is just saying that account profile. This isn't important. You guys don't really need to know the account profile.
So is there a time limitation, Alex, on the business account?
Yeah, on our on the regular account, I believe for one-on-ones, I think it's unlimited. Here, actually, we can check the plans and pricing button right here.
No, that's, yeah, well, it's not 45 minutes like the freebie, right? Okay,
so free, it says meetings up to 100 attendees, 40-minute limit, right?
Oh,
here, let's check out the details.
40, yeah.
So meetings for the free account, which most of us have, it's meetings, hosts up to 100 participants, unlimited meetings for up to 40 minutes. Direct and group messaging for collaboration outside of meetings. And then it has a whiteboard option. I think though, for the free one, if you're having a one-on-one or maybe even up to 3 participants, I think it might be unlimited. But the more people you get on that, like maybe after 2 or 3, then it's like a 40-minute window. But I think for one-on-one, it should be almost unlimited time. But as you can see, I probably have a pro account because I have to have many people on here and it has to be unlimited. But yeah, here's some options here. And then I wanted to mention reports real quick because although it doesn't seem that important, if you ever wanted to see who was in your meeting, right? Let's say you had a meeting and there was a lot of people in there and you needed that attendance, but you forgot to take attendance, right? I've done this before. You can go to reports and find out who was in your meeting. So you go to reports. I think it's usage actually. And then it'll tell you what dates are you talking about. And I'm going to click on, well, let's try today's date and see and click on search. Okay, it might not have this one already entered. So maybe I'll try a different date. I'll try from my last meeting, which was say the 24th to now to the 23rd, right? And then it shows me all the meetings I recorded, or I'm sorry, all the meetings that I was in, not even the meetings that I recorded, just all the meetings I was in. And then you can see sort of some information about this. And what I wanted to point out was, oh, here we go. I have to scroll more over. If I scroll more to the right, it shows me the participants, right? And then I can click on it and it shows me who was in the meetings with me right here. So Alex was there, Kathy, Heidi, and Janet was there. So this is kind of what I wanted to show you guys. So once again, that's reports. You go to, if you want to see sort of information about a previous training meeting that you were in, that's under reports. So reports, then usage, it says view meetings, participants, and meeting minutes within a specific time range, right? That's what we want to do. So then you would click on the dates that it was. You know, I'm going to go all the way from last month to this month, search, and then all the meetings I was in are going to come up. It'll say how long, the duration, the start time, all that information. And I think for me, the most important stuff is who was in the meeting. And then, so if I scroll to the right a little bit more under participants, it's going to show me how many people were in the meeting. And then if I click on that number, it'll show me who the participants were. So this was probably a private meeting between John, Ames, and myself, right? This one that says 6 was probably a group meeting between a bunch of people. And okay, I think that about wraps our training up. And then let me see something. I'm just trying to go back to my agenda here. So we talked about managing meetings, accessing recordings, right? And adjusting our profile settings. Yeah, so we pretty much hit everything. Anything else outside of our agenda or within in our agenda that anybody has questions about, wants to talk about? Now's the time.
No, that was a good overview. I'm feeling more comfortable with some of the details of how to set up a meeting and the settings, et cetera. So yeah, this was helpful.
Cool. Awesome. And yeah, if you want to go back to the basics ever, you know, that link I sent in the chat. Shelly, did you see the link in the chat?
Yes.
Okay.
Does I have a copy?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I see I saw the link on the chat.
Yeah, if you click on it, it's going to take you to the website where you can find the Zoom recorded trainings, right? Or any of the trainings are going to be there. So if you click on that, it should open up a new tab with that website. And that's where you'll find this training and other Zoom basics training. And there's a lot. I just want to remind folks that there's within those trainings is also an agenda with resources, you know, videos to watch on about other Zoom things or sort of other tutorials.
Okay, great.
Shelly, were you able to access that?
Ahorita.
Sí.
Donde dice more. Let's see.
¿Ves el chat?
Sí, veo el chat.
¿Y ves el link en el chat o no?
Dice meeting, sitting, minimize meeting, virtual background, raise hands.
Pues puedes oprimir el chat, el botón de chat.
Sí.
¿Y qué pasa? ¿Qué ves cuando?
Dice Trial 850 Notion Site
Sí, sí.
Digital.
Ese es el link que puedes espichar. Y cuando los espiches, entonces va a abrir a otro window que tiene los entrenamientos.
Sí. Ahora, ¿cómo puedo save dos? Porque ahorita estoy en Zoom, pero ya cuando se termine, ups, ay. ¿Cómo puedo save dos?
Pues ya está abierto en otro window.
Oh, ya está abierto, entonces, ok.
Entonces, cuando usted ya deja Zoom, entonces va a estar abierto en otro window en Google, ¿no es cierto?
Ok, y ya, ok.
Vale.
Yay.
No, por nada.
Gracias, I got it.
Awesome. Okay, well, that's it. If there's no more questions. I just want to thank everybody for joining.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, thank you, Alex. That was
you guys have a
helpful.
good weekend.
You have a good
Thank
weekend.
you. Happy
Thank
4th of July.
See you next time.
Yeah, you too. See ya.
Adios.